Welcome to Chat and Chai with moi, your host, Karishma Bazday. This is the space where we aim to empower and inspire women through other women's stories. So if that sounds like your vibe, then girl, you found your tribe. Grab your cup of chai, get comfy, and get ready to be inspired. My guest today needs very little introduction. She has made quite a name for herself on the social media scene. She is an exquisite and very talented content creator. She has expanded her business into many different avenues, and she's also recently become a mama. I cannot wait to sit in conversation with Aqeelah Harron. Aqeelah.
Karishma.
Welcome to Chat and Chai.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for giving us your time. I know it's very precious.
You're welcome.
And I'm so excited to sit in conversation with you and chat about a whole host of things. But I think we should start at the beginning. When I think of you, now I think about a lot of other things, and I know you as a multi-dimensional human being. But obviously, I think when people think of you, they think exceptional content creator.
Oh, thank you.
So tell me, how did you get into the whole world of content creation?
Oh my gosh, it's been like forever. So it's now 2023, so it started in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in my final year at university and I was studying film, media and drama at UCT, and I was, kind of thinking, what do I want to do with my life, and those BAs, they don't make you qualify in a specific thing, so you kind of have to carve out your own path. And I remember thinking, I actually just really want to go into fashion media, because all the media we were learning about was, traditional hard-hitting news media. It was, Zapiro comics, and it was, what is Jacob Zuma doing now? And I was just kind of like, no, if I'm going to want to do fashion media and become a fashion editor one day, I'm going to have to do something. And I just started a blog. So blogs just kind of were on the rise then, but only internationally. There was no one really doing it here.
Right.
And I started a blog, and I would write about anything. I would write about, I would review shows at international fashion weeks, and I'd find the pictures on Vogue and kind of just do my own thing. Wow. And then I saw other bloggers were uploading their outfits, and I thought, okay, I remember being so shy. And I had my friend take some pictures of me, and I put it up, and then the views just got really high at the time. And so then I would post other things, I like this person's style, and do a little style guide or whatever. And then that would kind of do okay. And again, I would post some outfit pictures, and then the views would go up. And so, so it kind of started like that. And I mean, social media and everything has just evolved over time, and blogs are not really a thing anymore, but there was a time where it was a thing. So I blogged for many, many years, and it kind of branched into YouTube, and then obviously Instagram, and all.
Did you dabble in the YouTube space?
I did. I actually have a YouTube channel. I haven't posted since having a baby. I think I've posted once. I literally shared my birth story, but right up until I gave birth, I actually did a whole series documenting my final 2 months, nesting, the baby shower, all
YouTube
of that sort
scares
of thing.
me.
I love YouTube.
We're dabbling in the space now with this podcast, and it's such a foreign concept to me. I don't know why. It's just
Really?
It really scares me. I'm like, it's a whole new beast on its own. I don't know if it falls into the same spaces the Instagram or Instagram and TikTok and all of these things. They all have their own kind of marketing hacks or how to grow your engagement and all these things. And YouTube is so different.
I love YouTube. I'm super passionate about YouTube. The only problem is that YouTube it takes time.
Right.
And it's sad for me because the minute I finally let go of my perfectionism, because I used to be such a perfectionist with YouTube, the minute I let go of my perfectionism, I just had a baby. So I don't have that silence at home, and I don't have as much time to edit and all of those things. So yeah, but it's actually a really great space. I love being there, but I just haven't been able to really for the last year.
What do you think really allowed your brand to grow into what it is today?
Definitely authenticity. If I had to pinpoint something, authenticity, relatability, and finally giving back to your audience.
Right.
I always say that is like one of the most important things you can do. I think in this newer generation, and back in the day, it also used to work where everything is just, very, I don't even mean this in a bad way, but it's very self-centered, where it's just flashing certain things.
Right.
I don't feel like that builds longevity in your brand. I think that important discussions and being real on a certain level and, helping your audience, sharing like, this is what worked for me when I did this.
Right.
And whether it's about fashion or motherhood or whatever it may be, those are the things that bring your audience back and builds that relationship, builds that connection.
And the community.
Yeah, and the community, and yeah, I just think that's like really the key to a good brand
and I
online.
think it's even evolving like more into that, as time goes on, because I feel there's a real craving for that community and for that connection, and no one really just wants a pretty picture that's not giving them anything. People want that interaction. They want to get to know you. They want tips and tricks, and I love that. I've really been loving that about the social media space.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah, because it's, social media, it's really your experience of it is what you make of it. So I do agree with people when people say social media can be this really toxic place, it can be bad for your mental health. However, you can curate your feed. You must always remember that we have to take that responsibility, that if something is making you feel bad, you can mute it, you can unfollow. Like really, even if you can't unfollow somebody because you see them every day, you can mute them, they're not going to know.
Exactly.
So you have to also take that responsibility on how you consume whatever you choose to consume online.
Completely.
Yeah.
And you have to do what you have to do to protect your own mental health.
Of course.
And like for us, social media is a part of our business, so we have to function in that space. Do you feel like you ever have the option to just not be on that space? Like, do you think you would eventually want that?
Yes and no. I'm actually in a really great space with my social media right now, because I've almost like distanced myself from it a bit, because I've been a little bit busy, and I've almost naturally put up a bit of a boundary with my audience, even more than I already have.
Right.
And I'm somewhat enjoying it. I need to cough.
Glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in a good space where there's like a nice healthy boundary, and so my mind is also in a good space, because I love my audience, I love connecting with people, but there are just times where people put things on you that you didn't necessarily ask for, or whether it's projecting, whether it's randomly sending you an essay telling you their problems or something. It can be a lot to take on sometimes. And somehow there's just been this natural boundary that's been building, and it's been really good for my mental health. But before that, I was always saying, I want to maybe build my business to such a point where I can take a step back and, how can I say, not be so present on social media. But because I've got that healthy boundary now, I'm actually enjoying being in my own space again online.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, and I'm kind of not caring so much about like, what is the algorithm favoring? What do people want? And 1 year postpartum, I'm finally not dressing so mommy all the time anymore. And so I'm wanting to capture that again. And my husband and we're going back to, shooting outfit posts, like whether people want it or not. And it's actually just been really fun.
Right.
And I'm just, I don't know, I'm in a good space with it now. Hope it stays.
And boundaries are so important.
It is.
How have you been in general with boundaries in your life?
In general, very bad, but it's been like something in the last couple of years that I've come to understand and become better at implementing. Like one boundary that I put online for myself, I think it's been well over a year now, is that I actually switched off my DMs completely. Before I used to just say in my bio, no DMs, but then the requests could still come through.
Right.
So now if there's a new person that tries to DM me, it will actually say that I don't allow DMs and that it's not possible. Because it's still, even if there were DM requests, you know, I'd still kind of slip in and just
Yes.
make sure, like, because I didn't have that discipline to ignore it. And it took me a long time to actually put that setting on, because, you know, sometimes brands would DM you and I'm like, you know what, my email is there. If you really want to work with me, my email is there. I'm an abundant person. What is meant for me is gonna find me, and I'm not gonna sacrifice my mental health because of this. And I switched it off, and it's been the best thing ever.
You see, that's so inspiring to me, because I think that's something I would struggle with, like exactly what you said, like, okay, so I need to do this for my mental health, but like, what if the brand, or what if someone, and you're so right, it's like my email, like there's not just one way, you know, to contact me.
Yeah.
You know?
And even trolls, like, would obviously normally send a DM or whatever. But I think, like, it's just too much effort to go and have to make yourself a fake email also.
Yeah, exactly.
to be mean to me.
Yeah.
And I think that they feel just as silly sending an email to say, oh, you suck and you're horrible, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like that would feel even more silly over email.
Oh, no,
Can
of
you
course.
just imagine?
Let me just type out this whole thing, like.
What shall my username be?
But shame. Imagine having so much like hate or dislike for someone.
Yeah.
To like go through all that effort. I mean, for me, I even think like, even taking the time to comment something mean or negative, or DM something, like that still takes time and effort. And I mean,
yeah, it does.
Shame. What space must you be in to like feel like you need to take that time and effort?
Yeah.
We are taking a little break to talk about today's sponsor, which is Habits Boutique. I have been sourcing exquisite, fashionable yet timeless pieces from Habits for a few years now. And what I love about them is that they sustainably source some pieces, but they also locally manufacture so many pieces as part of their collection. In fact, everything that you have seen me wearing in season 1 is from Habits. I went to the store to source some pieces that are seasonally transitional, specifically for Chat and Chai season 1. But then the weather surprised us with a few very warm days, and I was actually able to go into my wardrobe and pull a few pieces that were suitable for warmer weather that I had got from them maybe 3-4 years ago. But they still are timeless and fashionable and comfortable and beautiful. I have loved everything I've gotten from Habits over the years, and they have allowed me to really build this beautiful capsule collection in my wardrobe that I can mix and match and wear a million different ways.
I was actually listening to a podcast like spread over my day today, and the person that I was listening to was saying a lot of the time people see things on the internet, or like you will say, this is my experience of, let's say, motherhood.
Right.
And then, you know, a heated debate starts in your comment section, or somebody attacks what you say, because sometimes people just, they see what they see online and think automatically it must apply to them.
Right.
But nobody is attacking you. Sometimes it's just somebody sharing what worked for them. And if it helps you, it helps you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, it's okay.
Right.
You know, but sometimes, people do think it's like a personal attack, and it's really not.
And it's really not. And like, I just, you know, it's so like water off my back. Like, even if like I know you and I love you, whatever, you post something about motherhood that I don't agree with, it's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, I don't feel any like obligation to like now engage with you, and it doesn't mean like we can't be friends, or like, it's like, that's just her opinion, and that's just how she chooses to do her life, and that's cool.
Yeah, and we also grow and evolve, and like sometimes, you know, a sentence that's really helped me with my healing is, it's okay to change your mind. You can be completely against something today and be for it tomorrow. It's really fine.
Because isn't that what the human experience is about?
Yeah, it's growing and learning.
Growing, learning, evolving, trying new things, you know, and I think people are so afraid of that. And people so need to put us in boxes, you know, and the minute we want to like now grow out of that box, they're like, no.
And
no.
Your life has to mirror my life. Like, I need you to represent me. No, you can take bits of what you like from me,
Exactly.
and if it helps you, that's great. Or if we resonate with one another on a certain level, that's awesome. But it doesn't mean like mine must be copy paste of yours, and my beliefs and my way of doing things, like that doesn't have to be a thing, you know.
Do people, like, I think people do attach themselves so
Yeah.
strongly to you as like a person of influence.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe your life has mirrored their lives for like a while, and then all of a sudden you make a choice to do something different.
Yeah.
And then they take it quite hectically.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, for sure. I won't mention names. It's someone we both know, but like I was working with a particular person, and one of my followers saw this online,
right,
and didn't agree with how this person represents themselves or whatever, and decided to send me a full email about it.
No,
why are you associating with this person? Because this person does this, and this person does this, and this person does this. And I said, okay. And it wasn't problematic, by the way. It was the person wasn't doing problematic things. They just had different beliefs.
Right.
And I basically said very politely to this person, I get this from that relationship and this friendship.
Right.
And I don't need this person to believe what I believe to get what I need from this friendship. I don't know if I'm making sense, because I'm trying to like conceal identities here.
No, but definitely. Yeah. I mean, not everyone that comes into our lives has to completely believe 1000% what we believe, or how, you know, we do things.
Like
or
you and I are of different faiths.
Yes.
But I can be a friend to you, and you can be a friend to me, and we don't need to worship the same thing.
No, and we can learn from each other.
Exactly.
And experience each other's cultures.
No,
and grow in that way. You know, that's very, very intense.
Yeah, but sometimes people really do feel we all need to look and be the same online, and we don't.
No, we don't. So I love that you have started Worthy Co.
Thanks.
Like, friend, wow.
Thank you.
Like, so needed, so amazing. Mm-hmm. How did that come about?
So, like I said, I've been in this online game for a long time. And I always kind of wondered, where do I want to take this? You know, am I going to turn my digital brand into a permanent digital brand that has different avenues? Are we going to go an agency route? Are we going to, you know, launch a product? What do I want to do? And I thought about this for a long time. And I remember like 5 years ago, I also started like praying a lot more, and I considered what do I want to put out in the world. And I just felt like there's enough of so many other things. I felt like, no offense to anyone, but there are enough clothing brands, there are enough skincare brands, there are enough makeup brands, all those things. And I didn't know also if that was like, as much as I love those things, but could I see myself doing this forever?
Right.
And whenever I had an idea, it would be like, nope, can't see myself doing that forever. Nope, can't see myself doing this forever. Nope. And then, funny enough, I actually looked at 2 businesses from the Kardashians, which did really well. And I realized they were actually based off insecurities. So you have Khloe Kardashian, who was one of the first people to come out of the brand that has an inclusive size curve. Right? Because she was always like, you know, all about her body image, and she was the bigger one, and people used to ridicule her about it. And now she's making bank off of that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Kylie Jenner started with the lip kits because, okay, she first lied to us and said she didn't have lip filler. She said,
bad girl.
You know what, it's my lip kit, it's this pencil, it's this whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But it was all about her lips, which she was super insecure about. And I just thought, you know, that's interesting. And then one day it just clicked. I was like, you know what, something it's like, not necessarily an insecurity of mine, but it's like always been a really like huge problem for me is my my experience with menstruating.
Right.
So I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and like it affects your hormones, it affects your period on so many levels, it affects your fertility and just so many things. And I also just like naturally started on this path where I tried to heal my body and all those symptoms in a holistic way, from my mental health to the products I use, to what I eat, how I exercise, all of these things. And one of the things that somebody had suggested to me, I think a couple of years, like I think 2018, because I had ended up in hospital, was you need to just stop using plastic pads. There are like so many chemicals in there.
So toxic.
It's got chlorine in there, it's got bleach, it makes your cramps worse, it damages your endocrine system, which controls your hormones. There are just so many things, so many reasons why you shouldn't be using this. And so I started exploring different alternatives and using different things, and I started using organic pads here, and I hadn't quite found one that like I really liked, or like the one that I liked was like super thick with no wings. Like how can you not have wings?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it actually initially this prayer that I was making, coming back to that for like many years, I was saying, you know, I really want to leave the world better and not worse, because I don't want to come out with a brand and add to landfills with pollution. I wanted to have something that just had like a lot of good karma in it, all around. And even now, it's still in its baby days, of course, and there's still so much that we want to do with the brand, but it's really not even about money right now. It's about improving the product and improving the experience of other women, improving their hormonal experience and their hormonal health, and letting them have a more comfortable period, because our pads are like super soft.
Wow.
I'm literally wearing one now. I should have brought you some next time.
Yes, next time, please.
So it's just super soft and comfortable. You don't get rashes, and yeah, like I said, there's no chemicals whatsoever, so it's completely pesticide free as well. And it's just good for your hormones. Like I actually find that I have reduced cramps as well, because you're not having all that other junk, because your skin is literally the most absorbent organ in your body. So yeah, and so it just sort of that insecurity, difficulty and challenge that I've had sort of merged with my intentions and my prayers and what I've visualized for the future. And yeah, and another thing that has also influenced it is something that always bothered me is period poverty, especially in South Africa.
Right.
So we do our part to try and just assist with that. And so we do discounted pads as well that people can buy, and then we donate it to the Quora project.
Wow.
So yeah, because even when I really would struggle with my period for many years, sometimes I would just be lying in my bed with my heart with a bottle, and I'm like in pain and I'm crying and I'm all the painkillers, and it's just awful. But I would still just feel so grateful, because I think to myself, I can't imagine living in a shack right now and dealing with this.
Exactly, and not having pads.
Yes. If I think of what underprivileged menstruators also go through, they don't most likely also have access to healthy food and
Clean water,
all of those things. Exactly. So they're probably experiencing it even worse than what I am. And so it's not that I was like gaslighting myself into feeling it less, but I just used to feel so grateful in that moment that I could like take care of myself and other people can't. So yeah, it's really
I love that
marriage of all of those things.
That you've kept them at a reasonable price point.
Yeah, we try really hard to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when I started using like organic pads and tampons years ago now, when I was also on a journey to cure my PCOS, there was one brand available in South Africa. It was about 4 times the price of like a normal pack of tampons. And I was privileged enough to travel to France at least once a year to see my in-laws. It was so affordable there. It was almost cheaper than a normal pack of tampons here, even like with converting the euros. And I would buy my stock for the whole year.
Oh, of course.
And come back home with that. And that's how I did for like years and years and years and years.
I know, and then when you ran out, you're like, no.
Or if we like didn't travel that year or something, you're like, no, what do I do now?
Oh my gosh.
You know, so I think that's so wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, even now when we had to order in our last stock, this is like total transparency here. Because of the war and just like the dollar increase and all of that, raw materials, everything, the price of everything went up.
Wow.
We kept our profit the same, and we literally just added that extra bit that things went up when we did our price increase, and we didn't go and add that same amount onto our profits. Our profit is actually stay the same, because we really like trying to keep it accessible. And for now, we aren't able to produce in South Africa. I fought tooth and nail for that to happen, And unfortunately, I just had a whole lot of factories say to me, you know, sorry, we only do the plastic stuff because people here don't care. So I'm really, that is like one of my big goals for the future, is just to kind of convince people, convince someone to manufacture for us here so that we can get that price even lower, because
that would be huge, right?
Yeah, it would be huge.
Take away that overseas manufacturing cost.
Definitely, because there's because we basically have to pay like a massive delivery fee. It's actually not that expensive to produce, as the delivery fee to get it here is so costly. But so that's the goal one day for the future, because I just, like I said, it's genuinely right now not even about the money. It's really about merging that good karma, that good business, and wanting the best for other women and other people who menstruate, because we it's just something that I hold so much space and compassion for, because I've really suffered myself. And that's even being a person with privilege.
And that comes through, it really does, with your brand. When you launched this, like, I could feel all of that goodness.
Thanks.
You know, behind it. And I could feel that it wasn't just, oh, this is a product that I want to do it. Like, I could really just feel that that groundedness and that, you know, sustenance behind it. So I think it's just going to grow from strength to strength to strength. And it's just such a wonderful business. I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you
for doing that. Now let's talk about one of my favorite subjects, motherhood.
Of course, mine too.
I know, it's like, I feel like us new mamas, it's like, it's all about motherhood now. It's like, whenever did I want to talk about motherhood? Never.
Never.
And now I'm like, every conversation, like, how can I divert this into something?
No, that's definitely how it is.
To do with motherhood.
When you said, let's talk about motherhood, inside I went, yes.
Exactly. There's so much to talk about. And I love talking to other mamas, especially because I just feel like no matter what the conversation ends up being, it like always just broadens my horizons, you know, and I love that. You've had quite a journey.
Quite.
I feel like you have experienced it all, quite literally. And I know it's not easy stuff to talk about, but I think it's important stuff to talk about. And I loved that you have been so open about it on social media, because I think you are changing lives and being so impactful, because other women need to hear similar stories.
Yeah, they do.
To their own. It's so powerful because it just makes you immediately feel seen and validated, and that can be life-changing. So would you please share your story with us here today?
Okay, so it's definitely been quite a journey. I actually, for the longest time, wasn't even sure if I wanted to be a mom. I never felt maternal. I never saw myself as this person. And then I got my PCOS diagnosis like right before I got married, and I kind of thought, oh, I have to start thinking about this. But I was still, 25 at the time, which is quite young. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to file this in the back of my mind for later. And basically, I just started getting, I always had terrible, heavy, long-lasting, painful periods. And I still just thought this was normal, like this is how things were for me, because it's been like this since I was 12 years old. I just thought that's just my story. And then I think it was around 2016, 2017, I started eating like keto way, so low carb, and I think that balanced out a lot of my insulin then. And then my periods improved, and I went to the gynae, and she basically did a scan, and I was so scared, and she was like, all your cysts are gone.
Wow.
And I was very amazed at how lifestyle changes could affect that. I didn't stick with the keto and all of that, and basically all those horrible symptoms came back. But for me mentally, it was good to know that if I want to make changes, I can.
You can. You have the power.
Yeah, and also at the time, you're just like, I just want to enjoy life. I don't care about this.
No one eat the pasta and do all the things.
So basically, what happened after that? Yeah, so life went on, and then I had my first burst cyst. I think that was in 2019. I was just in excruciating pain, and I thought maybe it's my appendix, because it was on my right side, whatever. And just I couldn't even walk. It was so painful. I had to go to the hospital. And then they told me, okay, it was a burst ovarian cyst, and I had to be on antibiotics to clear the infection, and then all of that. And that's when I started doing more research on like what can I do to make my experience better.
Right.
And one of the main things was to switch out my period care, actually. So that was like one thing that I stuck with at least from then, because it was super simple.
Right.
It didn't involve me
Accessible.
needing to do anything
Yes.
else.
Yeah.
So, and then I noticed that like my periods were less painful and all of that, no rashes and that sort of thing. But again, just carry on with my life. Wasn't sure about when I wanted a baby. I was traveling. I was just being in love with my husband and living my best life.
Right.
That's all I cared about. And then 2020 came, the pandemic hit, and also I think at some point, in the beginning of the pandemic, I had another burst cyst scenario where I ended up in hospital. I was like, okay, I need to start taking this a bit seriously. And then I tried changing my diet and everything after all the pandemic eating.
Wow.
And still my period went missing for like 4 months. And I just gained all this weight. And that's, of course, another hectic symptom of PCOS. And basically, my husband and I were married, I think, 6 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then we thought, okay, now we want to start a family. We really have to start taking this seriously. So I started going for acupuncture, and that 4 sessions later, my period came back, and my she's a Chinese medical doctor, and she told me, okay, 14 days after your period ends, that's when you'll ovulate. So if you do want to start trying, just keep that in mind.
Right.
So I remember I took an ovulation test, and at the time I didn't know there's like a faint second line that means that you are ovulating. So I just thought like I'm not.
Right.
Anyways, and then I actually fell pregnant.
Wow.
So I fell pregnant and didn't know because it was actually an ectopic pregnancy. So it embedded in my tube, and whenever I would have those burst cysts, they were always on my right side.
Right.
And so I didn't know that it had caused quite a bit of scar tissue that had spread into my tube, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, so basically that embryo had embedded in the tube, and I had no idea. And so again, my period went missing, and I thought, no, I just got it back. Why is it
What's
gone
happening?
again? I took 2 pregnancy tests. Both of them were, so I took 2 pregnancy tests. Both of them were about 8 days apart, and it still kept coming back negative. And it's because when you have an ectopic pregnancy, your HCG levels are quite low. And the pregnancy is no way viable. There's literally been one in the history of life that has survived.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was just like going about my life and just like, oh, okay, it's just missing because that's how
your
things
life. That's
go
your
for
story.
me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But I was very emotional. I had no nausea or any other symptoms, but sure, my fuse was short. And then my husband and I went away for our 7th, I think, wedding anniversary at the time, 6th or 7th. And we were in Swellendam in like this little dorpy and this beautiful farm place that I'd been wanting to go to for forever. And it was also my birthday weekend. And I think we'd stayed the one night. And then on the second day, we were just chilling, and I just get this pain. And it's excruciating, like next level. Worst pain of my life, and it's just getting worse and worse. No matter how I laid down, whether I stood up, whether I bent over, and whatever I did, curled into a certain position, it was just horrible. I started fainting,
Oh my
throwing
gosh.
up, sweating profusely. I didn't know that basically my tube had burst, and I was having internal bleeding and all of that. And so we called our Airbnb host as well, because like we were in like the mountains, and thankfully she had like a mountain-friendly car,
Right.
dirt road-friendly car. And so she came zooming in there, rushed me to the hospital, which thankfully was only like 8 minutes away or something.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So, and then when I got there, but it was weird. It's like I actually knew I was pregnant, but I didn't know. It was a gut feeling.
Right.
And then when they started scanning me, I actually said to them, do I have an ectopic pregnancy? I kind of told them, and then they told me, yes, you do. And there's like a whole lot of fluid in your abdomen, you're having internal bleeding. And so I had to be rushed into surgery. And so they basically had to, because it had ruptured already and it was so far, they had to do like a C-section type of a surgery. So I've got like a scar this big. Like I see people with C-section scars this small. Like I have a scar this big on my side. Yeah, because they had to just get in there. And I lost like a lot of blood, nearly died. I'd lost an ovary and a tube. That whole experience was just so shocking and traumatic for me that even when I'd healed, I said to my husband, like, I'm not ready for this chapter again. It's too triggering, it's too traumatic. Everyone sort of assumed that I was gonna like start trying again, and I thought, hell no. But then I just wanted to like heal my heart and my headspace and my body. And then I think, so that happened in October of 2020. And then around May, June, I said to my husband, okay, I think I'm ready again. And then I also told my acupuncturist, and we'd been working on my fertility and like, and my hormones and everything. And also all this time I said to myself, I'm going to focus on just really turning my lifestyle around. So I eliminated all kinds of allergens. I found the proper way to work out if you have PCOS is to do slow weighted workouts because it helps with your insulin. You're not supposed to do anything like high intensity, hectic cardio. So slow weighted workouts, Pilates, yoga, walking, and I just like toned things down like that. And I lost a bit of weight as well. I started eating like more healthy, started taking my supplements, like your zinc and magnesium and all of that, and really started seeing changes in my body and in my period. Also started using a lot more clean beauty products from head to toe. And then the first month we tried, because also I don't ovulate, I still have the ovary, so even if the egg releases, there's no tube for it to go to. So even if I ovulate from that side, I don't think that
it's viable. Like it can,
Although I watched a video the other day that said something else, and I'm not sure anymore.
Interesting.
But anyways, nothing happened that first month, and then the second month, I felt pregnant, and it was like really easy. I literally took an ovulation test one day, and I was like, okay, it's go time.
Go time, let's do this.
And I didn't like want to put pressure on the situation. I didn't have any hectic expectations. And then I was pregnant with my little miracle girl and my one ovary and one tube.
Wow.
Yeah. And
just
now
like
she's here with all her sass.
And just turned a year.
Yeah. Well, no, she's actually turning a year next week, but her birthday's in Ramadan, so we had a party early.
Wow.
But yeah, pretty much a year.
Pretty much a year.
I know. I get so emotional thinking about I want to cry every single time.
Wow.
And I'm on my period now, so I really want to cry.
Oh my God, you can cry. We have tissues.
Because she's just, as I blinked and it was over. Like she's going to be a toddler. She's about to start walking. She's standing already.
Oh my gosh.
And
then it all happens even faster. Like,
oh God.
How has motherhood changed you?
I always say, I feel like it has broken me apart a million times and put me back together better than before, and a million times over also.
Right.
It's just, if I just think of how I thought even 6 months ago versus now, I've just evolved. You just evolve so much. You just become so much stronger. And you just think to yourself, where was my head at? Like, but it was the other day.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just constantly thinking, what made me think that, And now that she's suddenly just gotten so much personality, and she's mobile, and she's just got this attitude and whatever, I just think to myself, oh my gosh, even though I was like exclusively breastfeeding for 10 months, you still feel like I wasn't present enough. And I'm at home, I gave her so much of my time. I think only now in 2023 have I really thrown myself into work.
Right.
But I gave her so much of my time, and I still feel like it wasn't enough.
I know.
And I'm just like, where was my mind at the time? At the time I thought, I'm going to be stuck with this girl on my boob forever. I don't get to go out with my friends. Oh my God, I have no freedom.
Making all the sacrifices.
And I just wish I did it more.
I know.
Because even if you go and have number 2 now, then you still gonna have to give number 1 attention. You don't get that one-on-one first time ever again.
It's like that golden space era, it's just like you and your baby.
Yeah.
Will you have another one?
I do. I don't know. I think about this all the time. I'm 33 now, and it's not old, but I also I want to be super present in my current child's life, and I also want to, in those formative years especially, and I also just feel like myself again finally. So it's, I don't know, So, but I don't know. Like I said, I never saw myself as a mom for like a long time. It was actually more like my condition that made me have to consider it seriously.
Right.
And so it's tough. I don't want her to grow up alone, but I don't know if I see myself as a mom to many or more than one.
This is me, my friend. Like,
Are you the
totally
same?
Like, I never thought I'd like want to be a mom or whatever, and then all of a sudden things literally changed for me overnight, and I was like, put a baby in me now, like now. And also polycystic ovary story, whatever. Thought it was going to take a long time, and we were like, we're just going to be chilled and like surprise.
But it's amazing how quick your body can heal itself. Eh?
And exactly, and I've done a lot of work, right?
Yeah, of course.
To like get to that point, whatever. But still, I just thought because of that conditioning of the polycystic ovaries that it's going to take, you know, a long time, and it wasn't our case. And I love the idea that I could be a mom to many, but I also know myself, and I don't have the capacity for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like very honest and open about that. And I'd rather give all that I have to my one child than have to be like spread so thin that I can't even give the best of me to either one of my children.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but I do go back and forth. Like, I have a brother and we're so close. You know, so I really often think like, am I denying her that? But my husband's an only child.
Yeah.
And so he's like, she'll be fine. Like, she'll make friends. And he's like, you know, she'll never like know that she's missing out because she'll never have had that.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know?
So I also, we have this conversation back and forth all the time. So my husband's brother has 4 kids. So she's got some cousins.
Okay.
And if I look at my relationship with the people in my life, my family, so I have one sibling and we're cool, but I still feel a lot closer actually with my cousins. Like, we really put more effort into our relationship. My brother and I are both also like in creative fields, so we always just have these chaotic lives, and that's why I say we're like, we're cool, we're good, we see each other all the time, but we don't like go on dates.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
Don't vibe in that way.
No, but I don't know how. And I think with my cousins also, they have kids and my brother doesn't have a kid, so now we've also just like nurtured that relationship more.
Right. Okay.
And I've got like, we're a group of like 4 girl cousins, and we've been super close since I was in high school, even though like the gap between me and my eldest cousin, I think it's like 12 or 13 years. Like, the 4 of us are just always together.
Wow.
And a friend of mine was actually saying at my daughter's party the other day, she was saying, I just love your cousins. They're just like the best people ever. And she was saying, like, did you ever feel like you missed out on having a sister? And I said, yes, I always craved having a sister. I just used to wish I could have a sister in my life because all my friends had sisters and I had so much FOMO for that. And then she said, but don't you just feel like you have like 3 other sisters now? And I said, I totally do. Like, you know, we just always have each other's backs. It's like not even a second thought. And that's like really special. But I also can't guarantee that my daughter will have that exact relationship with her cousins.
Exactly.
You know? Like, because they might just be like, we're already a crew of siblings, we don't need you.
Well, it's the same.
So
with,
it's such a tough one.
It's the same with me and my cousins. Like, I don't have a sister, but I've got 2 girl cousins, and we are like so close and so tight. And I don't know if my brother is going to have kids. Seeming a bit like a lost cause right now in that department.
Same here.
You know, so, you know, I don't know. And it's like, yeah, Gail doesn't have siblings really, so...
Yeah, also there's no cousins there also.
You know, so I don't know. But, yeah, I think we're very much one and done.
Yeah,
I think... And, like, I've just come back to myself.
Yeah, it
like,
feels so good.
I'm just finding my groove again, and things are so good now with Aqeelah. Like, I didn't enjoy, like, the newborn phase. Like, it was quite challenging for me. Also, we were like smack down in the middle of lockdown.
Oh,
and
yes, of course, no support.
we had like nothing. We were both walking around like, oh, what have we done? Oh my God, you know. And as she's gotten older, we've enjoyed it so much more, like when the communication started and that kind of thing. And now it's like such a joy, you know, and she's like our little bestie, and she's so flippin' funny and so cute, and we're just loving this. So I told Gail, I said, I would be pregnant and birth a kid like any day, but just don't give me like the first year. Yeah. You know, again, because that was very challenging for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's just...
You see, I didn't mind. I thought the thing that I would be most grossed out about or most disturbed by was going to be the lack of sleep and like poo diapers, and that was like not even the issue.
That's not even the thing, right?
So she was a very colicky baby, and then it went away at 3 months, and then this girl just started sleeping 7 to 11 hours a night, and I was like,
girl.
oh my gosh, I've got one of those miracle babies.
You hit the jackpot.
I hit the jackpot. It lasted a month, then the colic came back until she was 6 months. It was painful. Like she was just this very stressed out little baby when she was like in those early newborn days. Like I go out and I see other moms, you know, just newborn just napping in a carrier. They're just like so chilled, and I think to myself, did I do something wrong? Like was I too nervous to go out? And then I have to like go back to my sleep deprived memories and think, and then I just remembered, no, we tried these things and it didn't work for us. That she didn't like it.
It was the same with us. Aqeelah had silent reflux.
Oh.
For the longest time, and
I think Zia did too, and we didn't know.
Exactly. You know, you don't know, and you're like new parents, like first time parents, right? You're like, are we doing something wrong? What is going on? Like, I know, like not sleeping is normal, but like this is like hectic, and you know, it was just going on and on and on. And because of her being a lockdown baby, she was overly attached to us.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so then when we did have the opportunity to go out, which we just like was just highly sensitive.
Yeah.
Like couldn't do like loud spaces or like big crowds for a long time. Actually, only till she just before she turned 2.
Okay.
You know, the things maybe start to shift a little bit. Like we even weren't sure when like to start her with school, but she was definitely outgrowing like all the activities and stuff at home. But even at the playground, like with other kids, she'd be like, wait for them to be done with the slide before she, you know. But then she hit like 2 years, 3, 4 months, and then all of a sudden she's like was
social.
Looking for the friends and was like looking
sweet.
for, you know. So we were like, okay, now she's ready. But yeah, it was so challenging.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have minded all the other baby stuff. It was just like hysterical, hectic, crying and shame. She was just so gassy and uncomfortable, and I felt so bad for her. So she just always seemed so stressed out. But then, you know, around like 4 or 5 months when they start like laughing and everything, then her personality came out, and then I could see, you know what, you are actually like this really happy baby, but you're just so uncomfortable, you know? And so, yeah, we really enjoyed having her at that age. It was just like shame she was uncomfortable. But then I remember 6 months was actually my favorite age, because then all that colicky, gassy stuff stopped. And I always say she was just like a handbag. I used to just take her with me everywhere, because at that stage, you know, you're comfortable driving alone with your baby.
Right.
Baby's cool with the car seat. She used to come out with me and my cousins and my girlfriends. We used to go for lunch. I'd give her one toy and put her in her stroller, and she would just sit there chatting away and just very content, didn't want to do anything. And then 7, 8 months came, and homegirl starts getting a bit mobile. And now, like at a restaurant, like we need to be multiple people, and everyone has to take turns eating, because somebody has to like go and entertain her.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that's where we're at.
But that's
now.
kind of motherhood, eh? It's like constantly keeping you on your toes.
Oh,
like
just
just when you think you've got this thing figured out, they're like, oh
it's
no,
a new thing.
sorry. And that was like also really hard for me to deal with in the beginning. I was like, just settled into like this routine, or like getting used to you sleep napping for X amount of hours, and then you're like, no,
doesn't work.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm such a planner.
Yeah. I also like
I want to be able to like plan my, okay, I'm just going to sleep for 2 hours, and I'll have those 2 hours to do, you know, like, no.
Do you know what was one of my biggest stresses about like planning her birthday party was, I was like, okay, we need to settle on a time. I'm going to say 3 p.m. because then she can get her 2 naps before the time, because I'm like,
I know.
the naps. And I was like, oh, if you're going to end up late for a party, because sometimes like these days she's been napping late, and you know, like it was just like my biggest concern. And then I had to like set it up in place where I would take her and my nanny to my mom's house the day of the party, and she had to have like no stimulation, and I had to go and do all the setup and have everything pre-planned, and I was just calling all the time, did she have her naps? Did she sleep?
Life revolves around naps.
It does.
And like,
it really
some
does.
moms can be so chilled about this, and I'm like,
yeah,
I cannot, because if the naps don't go according to how they need to go, then nighttime is like
messed up.
Totally messed up, and like
sure.
I can't deal with that. And like literally our whole life revolves around, and I'm still breastfeeding. She falls asleep on the boobie.
Yeah, same.
You know, so it's like everything will like I need to be home at that time, or
for
if we
sure.
go out, like we can't go to like Franschhoek because then like in the morning it's like 'cause she sleeps like in the middle of the day now, you know, because she has one nap.
Oh yeah.
You know, so you're like, then you have to like come back at this time to nap, or like if she falls asleep in the car, then like will she get the full hour? Because if she only gets 10 minutes, then she's not going to sleep again when we take her into the like.
Yo.
It's just like this whole
Yeah.
thing.
They're
But, like,
speaking my language.
Gail and I laugh at ourselves sometimes
No,
because
all
we're
the
like,
time. I'm just constantly, I'm like, but what about the nap?
what?
So this weekend, she can't even walk yet, but my cousin, we thought she would be walking by now, so my cousin is getting married this Saturday, and she is the flower girl. So I'm basically the flower girl.
So,
I have to
yeah.
carry her down the
Yeah.
aisle probably. So my cousins are asking things like, oh, so, you know, because like the ceremony is the morning,
Right.
the nika we call
Yeah.
it, and then I've got an ant on me. Sorry, Mr. Ant. I have to take her to the reception like late afternoon, and then they're talking about taking photos, and I'm like, okay, so now where does nap time fall into
Yeah,
this?
how and where will she nap and how
So
will
you're
nap?
going to stick with the retinue the whole time? I'm like, I'm taking my child home twice to nap. That's what's happening. Don't ask me about other stuff.
Yeah, like that's
Or
that's
you-
all that matters.
Because otherwise she will be shrieking down that aisle.
Exactly.
what's gonna happen.
So if you want your wedding to go nicely, then
Yeah.
this is what needs to
Yeah,
needs to
just
happen.
manage your expectations.
And also
please.
coming-
She's not 6 years old.
Coming up is also like we went somewhere recently and we were laughing at ourselves, like a little road trip to like Montague or something. Because we were like, every place we wanted to stop, we were like, does it have a play area? Googling, like it's not possible to go
Yeah,
to anywhere
no
that doesn't have
point.
a. Because now she's just so busy. Like
Yeah.
she will sit for 2 minutes, have a few bites of, and then she wants to be off, like
Yeah.
playing on the jungle gym or you know
Yeah.
exploring, doing something. So we were like, this is what life has come to. We can only eat at places that have, you know,
play
a play area. Exactly.
You should do a little directory on your Instagram because I'm going to need to know that
Oh,
soon.
I have to. I have to.
Yeah,
And we
of,
found
like, your
some
favorite
pretty.
places.
We've found some pretty epic ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like for me right now, it's always, does this place have a high chair? No, I can't go
All
there.
right.
One
And-
day we took our bumbo, like the little
Yes.
one that goes on the table.
Yeah.
We took it with us.
Because we were like, but also the place must have good food.
Yeah.
That's my other thing. It's like, okay, you have a play area, but then like we must also want to enjoy the food. So
Exactly.
it's like this whole a
Sure.
lot of research. No more spontaneous. Oh, that cafe looks really cute. Let's go. Let's go there.
We went, I think 2 weeks ago. We took a late afternoon. We went to Sea Point Promenade, and then we to the pools, and then we walked to the Mojo Market because we wanted poke bowls.
All right. Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, this is such a cute like little outing with my family, and it's such a beautiful evening, late afternoon. And she was fine. She was loving the swim. She loved the vibes. When we went to the Mojo Market, she was loving all the lights and everything. And then, while we were at the poke bowl place, it's almost like they set up like a little
Yes,
sushi bar. So
mhm.
she's standing with her hands on there, and she's watching things, and she's super happy. And then she just decides she needs to poo, and she's like, you know, the grunt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, cool, chilled. Let's just go and change a
Change,
diaper.
yeah.
There's no changing places at all. And I was like, so you're basically saying kids can't come here? Because they're not even like in a disabled nothing.
Nothing.
That you have to go to the car.
Oh my
Which is
goodness.
just like, and she's screaming, of course, because
Of
she's
course.
like, I don't want to be having my bum changed
Yeah,
here.
in the car and lying there. I don't know.
But sometimes you got to roll with it, hey?
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Exactly. One of my friends was traveling recently and she was like so shocked that no airport has changing stations in a men's room.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
So what? What if you're traveling solo? Would you like? What if
No,
you
what if
like?
you're a single dad?
Yeah, exactly. What must you do?
No, for sure.
I think that's shocking.
Talking about traveling, like we've been going back and forth about wanting to travel with her, and number one, we've decided we're only traveling if my parents can come because my gosh,
Yeah.
she needs to be on rotation on arms.
Right?
And the other thing is, I keep thinking to myself, where can I go that's kid friendly? Because I just think naps, of course. And the best conclusion I could come up with is I need to go to maybe like a Mauritius where it's like a resort where all the food is there. There's
Don't have to leave.
sand. Don't have to leave.
Right.
Don't have to overthink an itinerary.
Yeah.
can sometimes leave with my mom and everybody's chilled.
Exactly.
Like that's the only thing I can
And
think
so,
of.
like, I know, like, huge with my aunts and uncles and like family, we have always been like the club meds. Because there's always like kiddies activities and like stuff going on. So like we went for a honeymoon to the Maldives, and it's like our favorite place in the world. And we wanted to go back, and we've been married for 10 years this year, and we always said we'd go back. And then we're like, I will not travel with Aqeelah to like someplace like the Maldives, because she's in that in-between age where like maybe in a year or two she'll be able to enjoy all the activities and be okay to be left alone with like obviously the caregiver or whatever there, and we can still go and snorkel and still go and do our things, because otherwise not a holiday with a child is not a holiday. It's a trip. It's a trip somewhere. And yeah, I mean, we've traveled a few times, not really on a holiday, but like to see my parents in Durban. I've had like premieres of my movies in like Joburg or whatever. It's radical.
Yeah. No,
It's
and that's
just
why your
like,
support system is everything.
It's everything.
Everything.
Like just keep, because you also want a breather.
Yes, of course.
You know, and sometimes like change of environment. I know it, like, because Aqeelah is just a naturally very clingy child, but like change of environment, which is natural for them. They're not used to this, but then they want to be with you.
Yeah.
You know, all the time, and even sometimes not even her dad, just me.
Yeah, oh yeah, same here.
So then I'm like, well, okay, you go in and enjoy the holiday.
Same here.
I'll just be, you know, attached.
Zia will be with anyone in the day. Like when I say anyone, I mean like her nanny or her grandparents or her dad. But when that sun starts to set,
Oh, really?
and it's bedtime,
Just mama?
That's mama and booby time. Don't come between that.
But don't come between mama and booby. Don't come between the boobies.
But I must say, I've actually managed to switch her now to formula just in the day. So she still has milkies in the morning and at night.
Okay.
And then she'll do like one bottle in the day. And that's like really made life better for me and
Right.
easier. And she's actually enjoying that formula bottle. And the funny thing is, I just wanted to see the one night what she would do. So she still had some leftover, because sometimes she also wastes it. But anyways,
Right.
so I sat with her, the lights were off, she's like ready, you know, this is our bedtime routine. And I hold her in my arms and I give her the bottle. She smacked that bottle away and she starts pulling on my top. And she doesn't pull my top the whole day. She's super good. She doesn't ask for boobies at all.
How
she's like,
dare you?
but she's like, Mom, nighttime is sacred. You do not mess with
Do
the nighttime
not mess with
routine.
it. Like, oh my gosh.
So I don't know how, I feel like nighttime boobies might just last. I think we're going to go beyond. But I mean, daytime, at least I can have my daytime.
No, it's so amazing, because Aqeelah, I mean, I can be gone the whole day from like, you know, 6 a.m. to like 7 p.m. But like the minute I get home,
Come here.
the minute she sees my face, and it's like we've got our spot on the couch. It's like always been the breastfeeding
Spot.
She's like, Mama, boobies.
Oh my
Couch. And some days she needs like actual boobie, because I really don't think there's much milk left anymore. But like, or some days it's 2 sips. But it's just that comfort and that attachment. She's like, I just need
For
my
like
fix.
a second.
Just the fix. And then she's like happy to like get on with life. And then also nighttime, we've been experimenting now with like Gail putting her to sleep, because he's finally at home and not traveling for work and stuff anymore. So we're experimenting with him putting her to sleep more and more, so that like I can maybe start that weaning process, because like by 3 ideally.
But it's amazing that you've kept going for so long though. She's going to have like the best immune system.
I've loved it, and it's like
It's special.
It's so special, and like I think it's going to be harder for me than for her, because it's like it's our time and our cuddles. You know, and sometimes it's so draining as well. Like sometimes I'm like, please, I don't want to give you boobies. Like no, like I just want my body to myself. Or
no, for sure. Or when they tea you, then you're just a pacifier the whole night. Like that was me last night.
Or when they're sick, and then like she just last night she was like, oh, my knees sore something, but then she just wants boobie and she wants to sleep on top of me.
Oh yeah, that was us last night.
I'm like, I can't. And then like in the middle of the night, I can fall like back asleep quite easily.
Same.
But like if I haven't fallen asleep yet, and like I can't fall asleep with her on me, so like at least I need her to just be off me for a few minutes, and like I can get to sleep, and then we can get back to that. But yeah, it's been a journey, and I'm scared of weaning. Like I'm scared of the process.
Oh yeah.
Of how does it work? Is it cold turkey? Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I think there are different techniques, because I was also looking into it recently. I had to start weaning. Well, not, I wouldn't say start weaning, but just like switch out that one daytime feed.
Right.
Because I was getting like mastitis, and I was getting
I saw.
blockage,
Right.
blocked ducts. I don't know. Sorry, my language is out the window
We
today.
get it. The blocked thing. Yes.
Yeah, everything was just getting all blocked up, and I was having to go for lymph drainage like every week, and it was hectic. So once I actually switched the bottle in the daytime, now that I'm producing less, it's like my
Easier?
body can deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And then how did you go about doing that? Like, was it chill? Was it
It
difficult?
wasn't actually bad at all. You know what? Because one friend of mine, she said around 11 months, what she started doing with weaning her baby was she just started giving her higher calorie foods. Because, you know, babies like intuitively
Yes.
have like a calorie cap every
Right.
day. And whatever they don't eat, they make up for it with boobies at night.
Right.
So she said what she started doing was just like feeding like high calorie things like avocado and cottage cheese and all of those things. So what I started doing in the day was that. So, you know, really trying to increase her calories with the food she was eating. So it was around 10 months. And then supplementing like with a formula bottle. So then she actually wasn't asking for boobies. And I would also try and keep my distance from her a bit in the day.
Right.
So I would see her and I would feed her meals and I would play with her, and then like our nanny would take over or her dad would take over. So once, you know, we made it to like a week, and I remember the only way that I knew how to put her to sleep for like months at this point, because she's now bigger and heavier,
Right.
was on the boob.
Right.
So then I remember this, like the Saturday came and nanny's not there, because normally she just puts her on the back and then
Right.
she like goes to sleep and loves
Same
it.
with us. Yeah.
So my husband and I were like, okay, how are we going to do this? And we had to tag him in and out. She was hysterical because she wanted boobies to sleep, because that's what she would associate with me.
Right.
And then, yeah, we really struggled with those 2 naps on that Saturday. But then the Sunday, it was fine. And it's been fine since. Like, look, she still puts up a fight. But I
Right.
actually heard, I mean, I don't know how it is like with the child Isla's age, but I heard that when they're still babies, they don't fully understand that they're tired. They just
Right.
know, and that means sleep. They just know that this feeling makes them a bit unhappy, so that's why they cry. But
Right.
yeah, so they don't understand why you're like bouncing them around to go to
And
sleep.
did you feed on demand? Do you feed?
Yeah,
when
I
you
did. I
Okay.
used to. So even like up until that day when I decided to take her off in the daytime, I was giving her boob whenever, even if I didn't think she needed it. I mean, if I just, you know,
Saw her.
oh, you
or
want
she-
some boobies? Okay, here you go. So I realized,
And wasn't it your like go-to for everything? Like for me, it
oh,
was
you
like
stamp your toe?
cry, booby. Oh, you're upset about something. Oh, you're throwing something around. Okay, booby. Like just like the go-to and the quick fix for everything, and that feels like my superpower
Yeah.
as a mom. And I
it
think
is
I'm,
a superpower.
and I'm
though.
also scared. I think to function and navigate this whole
Life without
life
it.
without it.
Yeah.
It's going to be like
But
a
I
whole new
must
thing.
say, yeah, like, you know, now that, now when we stump our toe or when we're having a meltdown or we're teething or whatever, you do actually find other things to do in the day. But yeah, at night it's still very much my
And
thing.
I've noticed now that Isla's gotten a bit older, like she won't run for the boobies. Like she'll hurt herself and she'll come for a hug instead of something. So I'm like, I think she's also evolving, and that's going to help the process, hopefully, just like
Yeah.
evolve naturally together. How has motherhood changed your approach to work and your career?
You know what's funny is that in the beginning there was obviously like that pressure that I don't know, I just don't think I was in the right headspace, but there was this pressure to obviously the snapback.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
I also didn't want to, I was like fighting just being in my mom era, you know. I didn't want my
Right.
followers to be like, wow, she's just a mom now. All she's talking about is mom things and a baby, and she's just always talking about breastfeeding clothes and whatever.
Yeah.
And I just kept resisting it. And I remember I would put pressure on myself to go and shoot content that was just like the old me, and like trying to prove that I could still be this person. Like it was insanity. Now looking back, this is what I mean when I say I feel like you evolve so much and like you change so much, because now looking back, why did I care? You know, it was why, you know. I remember, like I said, my baby had colic, and one of the many million things we were trying to do to fix it, we would take her to the Cairo.
Right.
And I remember, like, gosh, it's so ridiculous, like saying the story. But I remember, so she would be like a couple of months old, and obviously she's now napping in the car seat in the car. My husband and I literally would like shoot an outfit post. He's still in the car's idling because she's sleeping, and I'm standing outside posing my outfits, and he's standing idling car shooting my stuff.
Wow.
Because I was just like, I
have to do this.
I have to do this because if I don't, and if I look dormant, and if I'm too much in this mom phase, then brands aren't going to want to work with me.
Will people forget about me, and like, will my,
And now I'm like, what are you thinking?
I think it's so natural though, like to want to hold on to that maiden side of us, before we fully transition into or accept, the mother.
Yeah.
And allow ourselves to integrate the power that the mother holds.
Yes.
In the world.
So I think also what happened was I was just like so afraid of losing myself in motherhood.
Yeah.
So there was that part, and then I just was reminded of that saying, what you resist persists. Because you can't, like, I can't just pretend that I'm not a mom anymore. Like, it's the most humongous change that has happened in my life.
Of course.
It's like I've made a person with
and
my body.
And you will forever be a mother.
Yeah.
There's not something that's going to like go away or change.
So I, then I just decided to just embrace it. And I thought, I'm going to talk about breastfeeding in my content. And I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to talk about that. And it is what it is. And for a large chunk of the last year that she's been around, like, she was very much married into my content. And funny enough, like, I would say in the last 2 or 3 months, where I've made a lot more of a commitment to my own, like, personal self-care and, like, dressing better and going after my goals and working out more and eating properly and, like, weaning her somewhat off the breast.
Right.
I've just been a lot more myself. And yeah, just like enjoying this chapter now. And funny enough, I'm naturally now posting about her less, sharing her less, because I also like want to protect her a bit more and like give her more privacy and all of that. Yeah, and that's coming natural to me now. And now I feel like I'm ready and inspired again to want to do that fashion content and like share things that interest me.
From a much more grounded and authentic place, right?
Yes.
Rather than like, oh
Pressure.
shit, I have to, I need to, must, that's so draining.
Yeah, and it was funny because my husband could see what was going on. I don't think he had the words, and I was in denial because I remember we had to shoot a campaign once, but it was like a mommy type of thing, and it involved like it was literally just a picture of Zia and I. And he was saying to me, but babe, like our life has like changed so much now, like how are we gonna do this?
Yeah.
I said, no, it's fine, look, she's sleeping, we can take the picture, it's done, it's fine. And he said, like, no, this is different, things are changing. And that's when we also had to lean into our support system a lot more and get our nanny in a few more days, because we thought like 1 extra day, that's fine. It's not fine.
No. I mean, I think we were the same for a long time, and also it's like, oh my gosh, I was very caught up in like all these brands want to work with me, like all these new like mommy brands and stuff want to work with me, and like so grateful for the work because it was the pandemic and wada, and like honestly, Gail and I used to like drive ourselves a bit nutty at times, like trying to fit the baby into shooting this content or doing this or doing that, and it's a little bit mad.
No, it is mad.
When you look back.
And like you say, their schedules change all the time, so you have it figured out from now, and then in 2 weeks' time.
But also it's like sometimes she doesn't want to be doing this and you only have X amount of time.
Oh my gosh, this necklace I'm wearing, which I don't know if it's backwards, it has her name on it. And when we shot the campaign for this a couple of weeks ago, and I was shooting other brand content that morning, like another campaign, and then we came to my mom's house, and I literally needed one picture with her and like the necklace, but it was going to be like literally the back of her head, and I just wanted like a little hand over here so that it would have her name. And I had the whole thing planned out. I thought, how hard can it be? Oh my gosh, it was so hard. It was so hard because she was with my mom and she just decided, I don't want to nap today. So she was like, and I was on a deadline, and I'm like, I really don't want to be this mom right now. But yeah.
I mean, I've been saying no to a lot of stuff, with her, and I mean, I love sharing her, and she's very much a part of my life and that kind of thing. But I'm just like, when she's a bit older and can like, and also voice her opinion in a more constructive way of like, I don't feel like doing this, or I don't want to do this, and then obviously you don't have to be a part of that, you know. And when she was a baby, it was very easy because she was like, just in my hands. But like now she's at the phase where she's like, I'm done. Or I'm like, baby, do you want to come take a picture with me? She'll be like, okay. And then before Gal's even like set up anything or like done anything or checked the lighting, and she's like, smile, smile. She's like, okay, I'm done now.
Over it, yeah. So with us, I sometimes like, I can tell that she's not in the mood, and I really feel bad. And people probably gonna watch this, would listen to this and be like, oh my gosh, you know. But I am also like, I feel like slowly starting to remove her from my content where I can, but also I also try and like keep the mindset that like the industry that I'm in, or that we're in, the nice thing about it is that if we just put in this work together right now, I actually get to be at home with you all the time. And give you all my time and all my attention. And sometimes it's just like a few days of the month where I really have to like disappear for the whole day and really put in that work. And sometimes she's part of it and sometimes she isn't, mostly not though. But yeah, I'm very grateful that I at least get to be present with her.
Yeah, and that's priceless.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the best gift I could have given her and myself actually. And
Definitely.
I really take my hat off to parents who have to go back to work, and I just wish, like now that I am a mom, I just wish that we spoke about and advocated more for other moms, especially to have like longer maternity leave, to like fight for their ability to be at home, because I can't imagine, like if I leave her for like a day, I'm distraught.
Aqeelah, this has been such a huge part of the conversations that have gone on in this space over the past few days, because it's a tragedy. It's actually a tragedy that moms have to leave their babies
and don't have that support
and have to go back to work and put themselves, because let's be honest, it takes a long time to heal and recover and, you know, all of these things, and you have to go back to work after 6 weeks or whatever it is. I just think it is so hectic, and
it's ridiculous.
It's actually ridiculous. And the best advice my doula gave us was, even when we just said we're going to start trying, she was like, try and save up now so that both of you can at least take 6 months off.
That's amazing.
And I know that not everyone has that privilege and that opportunity, but it was a game changer for us.
So you managed to do it?
We did, and then we were blessed with lockdown. And we say it's a blessing because it really was a blessing for us, you know, because, I mean, Gal got like, I got 9 months at home with my husband, I think.
Amazing. Almost. Oh, there we go.
I got 9 months, you know, at home with my husband. And I got like a full 7 months because I got an opportunity to be in Tully's baby diary. It's like 7 months, and it was such a beautiful, easy integration, you know, back into work. And then I just still had the privilege of taking it slow. And saying yes to what I wanted to, what really mattered and made a difference, and saying no to the rest. It was the greatest gift.
So special.
Ever. Just like, not just for her, not just for me, but like for our family. As a whole as well, and I wish that every mama has the opportunity.
I know.
You know?
You know, there's always, I mean, I don't want to get into it or take a stance or whatever, but we always see the breastfeeding versus formula debate. You know, it's in every mommy channel that you can think of. And I know there are so many mothers out there that wish that they had been able to breastfeed. And a lot of the reason why some people can't is just because there isn't support. It's not even, you know, whatever other reason. It's just sometimes there just isn't that support. And that support is so vital. We also saved and were able to take 3 months off. But then even after that, I did take it very easy. I think only now in the new year, I've really like picked up the pace. And now it's like super hard for me because I can just, she's just growing so fast, and I have to like
feel like you always can catch up with like all the moments or like the things that you've missed.
Like this morning I had a fitting before I came here, and then I just had time to go home, change, just quickly do hair and makeup, and I had to come here. And honestly, she was in my makeup, and she was busy with all my stuff, and you know, she was just like trying to get my attention and want to spend time with me, and I just I'm also on my period, so I'm emotional. So I wanted to just cry because I just wanted to hang out with her because she's teething, and I just think to myself that there are some moms where this is whole day, every day. You don't even get to come home in the day, you know, and you just don't get to be with your baby. And it's just so sad that we are just not, as a society, whether it is the changing rooms, whether it is the support system, the education, we're just like not set up for mothers, and you only realize it when you become a mother.
I know,
and it's ridiculous that like our situation now, we were able to save and we were able to have doulas and nannies and all of that, that this is, we're only able to do this because we come from a place of privilege.
Yeah, exactly.
But there should be a standard, there should be, I don't even know, but it's
every
really sad.
mother should have access to what we have had access to, and the ability to, you know, be there for their children. You know, I don't know how we're going to create the shift, but I think speaking about it more and more is definitely a start. Advocating for it more and more is a start, and it's become such a big passion of mine.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
It's just to like, how can I encourage every mama to think about this?
Yeah.
You know, going
like
forward.
For me, whenever I hear like new moms and pregnant moms and they say, yeah, you know, I intend to breastfeed, I had a very like lax approach mentally while I was pregnant to breastfeed. I was saying, you know, that is my it's my goal. I had no clue about the difference between breast milk versus formula. I just didn't mind. You know, I didn't even know that milk comes in later. I didn't know that. I didn't know what colostrum was. I remember I had just given birth, and my doula was there, and I said, and my sister-in-law had told me that like her milk sometimes she would leak while she's like from 36 weeks pregnant. That I was waiting for it to happen to me. It didn't happen to me. So I just assumed when I gave birth, I was like, oh, okay, I don't have milk. And so I called my doula over, like Zia was like they had just come out, and I'm like, Charlene, I don't have milk, so I didn't bring formula with me. What do I do? And she was like, my darling, you have colostrum. And I said, what do you mean?
What is that?
She literally took my boob and she squeezed it. She was like, that's enough for your baby. Your baby's stomach for the first few days is the size of a cherry. That's all you need. And then when the milk comes in, the stomach of the baby expands.
Wow.
I did not know this.
Wow.
I was today years old at the time when I found that out. Like literally my baby was like fresh out of me. And I found that out. So yes, I didn't know. And she set me up immediately with like lactation consultant. And she was someone that was, you know, because she was really that support system, she basically, you know, lactation consultant. And I needed, what else did I need? Oh, and I told her I had torn. And she was like, here's someone who can offer you laser therapy and who can do this and who can do that. And, you know, I just had no idea that like, how much help you need and just how little you know, even when you think you know.
I mean, we were so privileged. My doula has been my friend for 10 years.
Yeah.
So she's family, you know, and I had her on constant.
Yeah.
You know, contact like for months postpartum. I mean, even now, all the time, I'm like, I love doing this. Like, is this okay? Or, you know, whatever. But that's a privilege and a gift. But I wish all mamas had access to this, or even just were able to build their own tribes.
Yeah. So a good thing to know that I found out after giving birth is that I think it's Mowbray Hospital and I think it's Retreat. They actually have free doulas available.
Oh, wow.
Because those are, of course, government public hospitals. So
that's amazing. I didn't know that.
But that needs to be a standard everywhere. Even if it's just someone on the day. Because if I think about it, like my birth would have gone maybe so differently if I didn't have that support of my doula on the day. Because I labored, I did my entire labor at home. So 19 hours at home, and I went to hospital when I was 8 centimeters dilated. I literally just went there to push. But when I got there, I just wish I had your courage and did a home birth. But when I got there, like my midwife and the nurse, they were just so cold. I honestly felt like I was a nuisance coming in there.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Just thankfully I had this grounding support and this compassion of my doula who could just like be there for me. Because imagine I would have otherwise gone in there, had this horrible nurse, and I would have been like, can you give me formula? Meantime, I'm fine.
Right.
And, and that coldness just would have given me
And
so much stress and anxiety in that moment.
And they don't often have that extra care to be like, no, darling, you're fine. Or they'll just be like, you want formula? Yes, formula. Meanwhile, that could have derailed your entire breastfeeding.
Yeah. And I had like this mental idea of how my experience was going to be in hospital, because I'd done hypnobirthing and everything, and I just, framed my brain that birth was going to be this beautiful, positive experience. And for the most part, it was. Like, literally, my husband and I had made like little care packages for our nurses, and I'm like, I even gave it to them before the time, because I thought maybe I'm misreading the situation. You are like a nice person, and it's just you're tired because it's 11:30 at night. But yeah, they were just like really cold and not nice.
Aqeelah, that's so sweet.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I like gave them Lindt chocolate and
stuff. They still didn't like.
But they were just like, oh, thanks.
Oh my goodness, I'm dead.
Gotta love our private hospitals.
Oh
that's
my
what you pay for, apparently.
Okay, so I think what I want to wrap up with is how do you approach, firstly, your self-care, but also your self-development? We went to a wonderful workshop together recently, and it was so wonderful to see you in that space and, speaking and sharing in that way. And it just made me curious as to how do you approach that in general in your life? Are you drawn to like workshops like that or things like that? And do you make it a priority? And obviously things are different now that you're a mom.
I do. So, funny story, I still haven't connected my phone to my car, like, so that I can like play Spotify. And I'm actually happy because, to be honest, I don't know how to do it. My husband is connected, but anyways, I don't know how to do it. But what I do have on my phone is there's this manifestation podcast that I listen to, and it automatically downloads on my phone, and I literally put my phone in the cup holder whenever I drive, and my radio is all tuned out, so I have nothing else to listen to. And I don't know why, but this manifestation podcast, I don't remember doing the setting, it automatically downloads on my phone.
Oh my goodness.
Right? So when I've got to drive, like today I've had quite a bit of driving, even on the way here.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just see what's the latest episode. I'm like, oh, if there's something I missed. There's 75 podcasts downloaded on my phone. Don't know how that happened.
Wow.
But so I just pick one and I stick my phone in the cup holder, and then on I go driving. So that's like always like nice mental mindset development, because this girl that I listen to, Catherine Zenkina, she's amazing.
Manifestation babe.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. Being obsessed with her.
I know. So it's not just about like, oh, let me manifest this money.
Exactly.
It's actually about doing so much inner work.
Yeah.
There is just so much inner work, and so much like working on your trauma, your mental money blocks, your mindset. And I love that she and I were like pregnant at the same time.
Right.
And so we're like, a lot of her podcasts now is just like that post-motherhood journey, and it's just always resonating with me. So I've just loved it even more. So yeah, I did that. I actually just did her free workship. I don't know if you saw, she had like a 5-day
I did it too.
You did it as well.
Oh my God.
Last week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Every time I got in my car, I was like, is a new episode out yet? Yes.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew. Now I can send you episodes all the time.
Oh my God. I'll be like, what did you think about this?
The one I've listened to today was so good. So yeah, I always love listening to podcasts. My husband and I both do that. I love anything by Dr. Joe Dispenza. But I actually had to stop reading his one book because it was so freaking good and so scary that if I would read something the one day, the next day something similar that pertained to that lesson would happen.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I'm not even going to get into examples, but like life-changing, massive things, to a point that I was like, I'm putting this book away.
Right.
Okay. Actually, God, it was like 800 pages, and I think I made it to like 300, and I thought, no, it's getting too hectic now. But yeah, so I do things like that, and I try and meditate. And this year, I'm not one for New Year's resolutions usually, but I remember when 2023 hit, literally on New Year's Day, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you know what? Motherhood has made you more of a supporting character in your own life for like since Zia's been born, or even since you were pregnant. It's been all about this baby being the main character of your life, and you need to actually take back your power and be the main character in your own life right now, because it's going to be the best for your child, it's going to be the best for you. And the minute I did that, I got back into working out, even if it's just like 20 minutes of the day, back into working out. I'm journaling again. I'm listening to more beneficial podcasts. I'm trying to have a healthier relationship with how I spend my time on social media because I can see the changes that it's made in me.
Right.
I actually didn't mention that I battled with postpartum depression and anxiety for 5 months.
Wow.
And I was on medication for it and everything because I tried to go the natural route and everything, and just nothing was working. And then it also got to a point where I noticed, hey, my medication also isn't working actually anymore.
Wow.
But it's not that my medication wasn't working. I wasn't taking care of myself in all these other areas of my life.
It's a
So
holistic
you can't just pop the pill and
Yeah.
then hope for the best. So what I actually did was, because I was even bad with taking my prenatals, which I was supposed to still be on while breastfeeding.
Right.
So what I actually did was I stopped the medication, increased my workouts, just gentle movement every day, improved my eating, went back on my prenatals just to balance my hormones, and I felt the best and the most like myself that I have
Wow.
in forever.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, it's really, especially as moms and in general as human beings, it's so important to fill your own cup. And I really find that when I do fill my own cup, I am 1,000,000% a much better mother, wife, everything, and so much more present.
Same.
Yeah,
And I think sometimes in this world there's like a lot of stigma around, like,
yeah,
how dare she? She's a mom. Like, why is she
Yeah.
taking time for herself? Why is she like hanging out with her friends, or doing this or doing that? But I don't think a lot of people realize that like exactly what you said. When I have time to fill my cup and do the things that I love and fill my cup, I come home and I'm so much more present with Aqeelah. I have so much more to give Gail. I'm just a much better human to
Yeah.
be around, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
huge, because I don't want to be sitting with my child, all grumpy and like, whatever, or like in a bad mood. I'd rather just take those 2 hours or whatever
Yeah.
it is to fill my cup, and then have the rest of the day being this amazing mom, or the mom that I want to be to her.
Another thing I realized also is that men don't have this like issue and this guilt that we
No.
tend to have, or that it's a problem for us to go out and fill our cup. And I think it's also, especially as moms to daughters, it's important for us to model that they can, a woman, a career woman, a mom, however you look at it, can look completely different to
Right.
what we were raised or what society tells us a mom or a wife or a woman or
Should be,
whatever
right.
should be. So I love that we are showing our daughters that, you can have hobbies, you can be creative, you can try new things, you can be a wife, you can be a mom, you can be
Exactly.
sexy, you can be modest, you can be religious, or you can be spiritual,
Be
you can
whatever you want.
be a
to be.
multi-dimensional
Exactly.
person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Aqeelah, this has been such a wonderful conversation.
Thank you for having me.
I wish we could go on for
Of
hours and
course.
hours and
We
hours.
usually do when we see each other.
I know. We haven't seen each other in a
I
while.
know. I don't know when last I saw you actually. I feel like
Okay.
probably at an event somewhere.
Yeah, universe, more events, please, more opportunities for Aqeelah and I to have coffee or do something wonderful and
Yes.
chat. But thank you so much for your time
Thank you for having me.
and for sharing so openly and vulnerably, and just letting your light shine in this world.
Thank you. I'm so happy you're doing this, and I know it's going to be a huge success.
Wow, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to that episode as much as I did. I just love diving deep into these conversations with incredible women. If this podcast meant something to you, then you can do 2 things for us. You can please give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. This is really the best way to help support the podcast and help us to grow. And secondly, you can go and follow us on Instagram at Chat and Chai. We really do share some incredible content on there that really adds value to your life, I hope. And we love engaging with our Chat and Chai tribe. So give us a follow and let's connect over Instagram. Much love from my heart to yours. Until our next Chat and Chai.